Hey, it's John here. This is my video on medical assistance in dying, a medical imperative. I'm just trying to shoo away my cat here. Anyway, so yeah, I'm not going to edit this video, nothing like that. Might run it through Smooth Talker to get rid of pauses, but other than that, I'm recording this on my YouTube channel, and it's called, the handle for the channel is Blind Johnny's Choice, BlindJohnnySchoice. So again, Blind Johnny's Choice. Hopefully I spelled that properly, but yeah. Again, these videos are going to be shorter because it's a new YouTube channel. So at first I can't do more than 15-minute videos. So rather than ramble on, I'm just going to talk about my situation and why I should be allowed the right to die. And first off, I've tried this video several times and I've decided I shouldn't have to justify why I have to die. It should be my right. I'm tired. Even in the last, I was supposed to release this video on Sunday. It's not coming until 6 days later. Part of that I was so depressed. Again, part of that I was trying to rework files with ChatGPT. So there's so much going on in my brain right now, but I want to be at peace. I want to be given that right to make that final choice to die. From a human rights perspective, we keep our people, homeless people, on the streets. The system is not designed for the average homeless person to get ahead. I know I'm facing homelessness in a few months and nothing I could do, even asking my bank, ATB Financial, along with Alpine Credits, my other mortgager, to fund my desire to end my life in Switzerland, but they wouldn't, of course, because I guess they can now just go after my house and I'm going to be homeless on the streets in December in Edmonton anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter to people. But anyways, Charter of Rights and Freedoms in Section 7 says I have a right to autonomy and to be able to make my own choices. So I should have the right to choose to die, plain and simple. Then we look at even Section 12 of the Human Rights. It talks about cruel and unusual punishment. And is it not more cruel to allow someone to die on the streets? Even an able-bodied person can get murdered and raped and robbed and taken advantage of on the streets. How is it going to be for me, a blind person who can't even see 5 feet in front of him, 5 inches in front of him, let alone maybe bumping into the wrong person? Or, I can't even the little goods or the little whatever called possessions I'd have with me, totally in danger of being stolen. I can't even see someone walking up to me and even reaching for them. I can maybe feel their presence sometimes, but if I'm hypersensitive, it's fucked up. That's all I can say. It's just cruel and unusual punishment. Again, with my Charles-Bonnet syndrome, seeing the hallucinations I do. If I'm on the streets, I could confuse them for something, or it could confuse me to do something that I might not normally do. Again, my hyperthyroidism, even sometimes taking my meds, I don't sleep for a couple of days. Sometimes I'll take my meds and I just won't sleep. Just so much in my brain, my diabetes. I've rarely taken my meds now because sometimes I get meds covered, sometimes I don't. If I'm not on income support, I don't get med coverage, and they're freaking expensive. So, why do that to my body ups and downs? So I haven't taken diabetes medication since probably August. Get my insomnia, even thinking about working now. I look at applications and I can't do it anymore. So anyways, I want to go back to my right to die. And again, it's cruel and unusual punishment to keep anybody on the streets, especially in Edmonton. I think it's $3,500 people need a month to survive in Edmonton. I only get now with the upped diabetes medication, I think it's somewhere like $1,023 a month. That doesn't even cover one of my mortgages. That's a whole other story. But anyways, so much to get through, so little time. So again, MAID is a recognized government program. And Section 15 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms says that I have a right to access medical programs and other government programs, regardless of physical or mental ability or disability. I forget how it's worded, but basically, I, as a Canadian citizen, should have a right to access MAID. And so should other Canadian citizens who might be in a horrible situation like I am. We should have the right to choose to die versus being killed or maimed or lose body parts. God, I was in the hospital last year when I tried committing suicide with a guy who lost both his legs below his knees because he froze in the cold. There's another example I found where a guy froze just outside of Commonwealth Stadium because he was basically kicked out of the hospital, had no place to go. I think in June 5th, as in my write-up, which I'm going to attach. By the way, there will be an attachment with this called Made a Human Rights Imperative. That's what the attachment is called. You can download it. And again, this is not rehearsed, so if I'm doing things in bad order, I apologize. I'm not rehearsing shit. I just don't have the patience and time to do that. But yeah, I'm kind of trying to follow the document the way it's written. And again, ethical. Is it more ethical to let someone die slowly on the streets? Is it more ethical to let me, a blind person, live on the streets? It's easy for me to do a GoFundMe page and someone give me $50 or $100 or even $200 and say, there you go, attaboy, hang in there. Well, guess what? I'm past hanging in there. I want to die. I should have the right to die with dignity rather than being raped on the streets. And if you don't support my right to die, you support my right to, or my not right to live, but my forced continued existence in situations that could be physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritual destructive to me. I want to choose the right to die. I want to have that final choice so I die in a dignified way. And if I'm not looking at the camera, sorry, I'm blind, okay? Some people make private comments to me. But anyways, so yeah, ethically, right? We have the ability to end people's life in a dignified way. Why don't we allow them to access that dignity? I, in Canada, have to go somewhere else to access medical assistance in dying. So that's what I'm looking at doing right now. And I will have a separate video on that. And it's really important you watch that video. It's going to be in this Facebook link. If you're watching this video on YouTube, I will, just watch the next video in this channel and you'll see it. And I will maybe even put a link in this video as well. Again, I can't put links, so you'll have to copy and paste if I do that. So let's look at what happens if someone doesn't commit suicide. What happens to them? What happens to their family? For me, when I tried committing suicide in 2024, not my attempt in February 2025 or my undocumented attempt in January of 2025, in which I tried to take 90 aspirins, man, the vomiting was horrible and I lost hearing out of my one ear for about 5 or 6 days, or most of it anyways. But anyways, that was undocumented. So then I tried to hang myself in February 2025 and the cops came and they stopped me because I was on the phone with income support at the time. But anyways, what are the costs? Last summer, or when I tried to kill myself in 2024, I now have permanent nerve damage and partial numbness to the lower part of my leg, below the knee, that lower part, and my foot. And I don't blame anyone for that, but I do distinctly remember telling the ambulance person when they came, leave me alone, don't take me. And they did anyways. They said I was a couple hours within dying from an overdose. I must have broke my ankle by slipping somewhere. But anyways, now I live with that. Now I'm living with I'm living with all these other mental and physical things because I didn't get the right to choose last year. I didn't get the right to choose this year. I was stopped. And the only reason the ambulance found me last year is because I sent an email about my cats to someone because I didn't want them to starve. And quite frankly, the email sent earlier than I had thought I sent it for, but I was out of it when I sent the email. Anyways, so yeah, and then, I can talk my way out of the system, so I wasn't put in the system, but quite frankly, I was suicidal when I left, but I did give it a shot. Anyways, I'm here. God, that was 1.5 years ago, but even in February, that was, 6-7 months ago. I just want to die, and I should have that right to die. And what about the costs on society? So let's break it down to money. It can cost over $100,000 a year to keep a homeless person homeless. And I say that because I don't think our system is designed for the average homeless person to help them find work. Some people make it out of the system, and those are the people that are talked about in media and press releases, but the average homeless person stays the homeless person throughout their life. Again, that's my opinion. I haven't scientifically researched it, but maybe someone wants to do that. And to give someone medical assistance in dying in Canada, it's about $5,000. So you're potentially saving $95,000 in the first year and over $100,000 in every subsequent year you would have been paying for that person who voluntarily chooses, let's make that clear, voluntarily chooses to end their life because they don't want to go through a suffering and pain that can't be imagined by any other people. No one can imagine the pain. No one can imagine the mental pain, the emotional pain I go through, even when I have the physical pain with my leg and headaches and stuff. No one can imagine that. No one can put themselves in my situation. So don't even try. You're not me. You're you. I can't put yourself in your situation. You can't put yourself in my situation. I don't want your sympathy. I want your empathy. And empathy is doing something for me, not because you like what I'm doing, but because you know it's the right decision for me. And that's supporting my right to die. Okay, that was a little dramatic, maybe. I don't know, but that's really the way I feel. But again, and again, right? I don't want these services. I don't want to be put in a homeless shelter where I could be raped, murdered, killed, robbed. I don't want to be put in a system that is unsafe for even people who are totally bodily abled. I don't want to be in a situation where, I have to take sleeping meds. So if I take sleeping meds, I'm out on the street. Who knows what could happen? That's really the only way I get any peaceful sleep is by taking those meds. So let me die. Let's save the government some money and let's put the money towards people who want those resources. For example, I'm going to say someone told me this is selfish for me wanting to commit suicide. Guess what? It's not selfish. I want to end my pain. But guess what? If from a purely financial point of view, the money that would be wasted on me is going towards somebody else who could totally make a difference in the world, who wants to live. I don't want to live. I don't care. I just see the days passing me by, melting away, watching TV, playing on my iPhone, playing with ChatGPT, just draining away. I can't even look at another job without feeling queasy. Another, whatever that was called, job posting. And finally, even internationally, MAID is becoming more acceptable in places like Switzerland. It's been there, I think, since the 1940s. And we have early 2000s places like Belgium and the Netherlands, and I think a few other places as well in Europe. It's here in Canada, but not for mental health reasons. Although I think technically diabetes, if untreated, can be terminal. So argue that one. And even my sleep. God, if I wasn't taking medications for my sleep, how would I be? How would I be functioning? Poorly, horribly functioning. So again, the only thing that's really keeping me functioning the way I am and able to make decisions at this level is because of my medications. And when you're on the streets, medications aren't guaranteed. But again, back to human rights and international law. Yeah, even, again, a couple of states in Oregon recognize it, but again, not for mental health issues yet. We have to be progressive. We have to allow people to die with dignity. In fact, even in the Bible, which we'll talk about more in my next, not my next long video, but in a future video, is in 2 Samuel, when Saul was going to be captured. He asked his armor bearer to kill him, to run him through so he wasn't captured and then beaten and then run through. So he wanted to die rather than being put in a situation where he would be first violated, then killed. That's all I'm asking. That is all I'm asking. Let me die. Just let me die. Let me go away. Let me fade away. I'm fine with that. If you can help me out, watch my other video. But if you can help me out, want to find out more about my situation, call me 780-423-0093. That's 780-423-0093. Quite frankly, not necessarily the wisest idea to give out my number, but I don't care anymore. I just want to die, and if you can help me along my journey so I can take the steps I need necessary to access assisted suicide, I'd much appreciate it. And you can always email me. The email I'm using is blindjohnny25, so BLINDJOHNNY 25 @gmail.com. And I appreciate you watching this video, and I'm going to be videoing the next one now. Goodbye.